今天您将收看的是
亚洲电影策展人、影评家谢福龙回顾上海国际电影节亚洲新人奖作品，谈亚洲电影新格局和亚洲电影人独立的艺术语言。
大家好，观众朋友们，您现在看到的是今晚我们看电影。新加坡电影策展人、电影评论家谢福龙参加了第22届上海国际电影节亚新奖的评委。那他对本届亚新奖的参赛影片有着怎样的评价？对东南亚电影有着怎样的思考？在今天的节目当中，我们就一起来听一听谢福龙的见解。
2019年6月21日晚，第22届上海国际电影节亚洲新人奖颁奖典礼举行。亚洲新人奖评委会主席宁浩、评委石井裕也、苏有朋、谭卓、谢福龙等嘉宾与亚洲电影新人共同见证了本届亚洲新人奖所有荣誉的归属。作为凸显上海国际电影节立足亚洲定位的重要举措，在场的亚洲影人还共同庆贺了 SIFF Asia 的破土而出。
很高兴看到亚洲青年电影人依然坚持探索艺术与文化表达的电影使命，如同第一次看到《梦幻的银幕》时所感受到的震撼一样，所以值得祝贺。祝贺创作者不负年轻，祝贺新人奖不负年轻，祝贺电影依然年轻。
Many of the directors are too young with very little life experience. So one of the things I noticed about the young Chinese cinema is that a lot of them take their time in coming into the film industry, in making their first film. So they do other things first, and then they collect those experiences and they bring it into their first film. I think many of us in the film industry today don't actually come from a film background. I mean, there are many famous film directors who come from other film backgrounds. Maybe Edward Yang from Taiwan, the legendary film director, he came from a computer science background. You know, so all those experiences are very good for cinema.
设立于2004年的亚洲新人奖，致力于发掘亚洲电影的新生力量。中国大陆的宁浩、万马才旦、曹保平、伊朗的叶塔潘纳等导演都曾获得此奖项，是电影节体现立足亚洲、关注华语、扶持新人定位和打造阶梯型新人培育体系的重要一环。
Having seen the Chinese young cinema selection over the years, I think that actually now there's a lot of interesting unknown talent. It's unknown to the rest of the world, to many of the festivals that I work with, and I think that it's a great opportunity to show the interesting new Chinese cinema talent.
华语电影活着唱着，聚焦了中国传统戏曲川剧这一题材。老板娘苦心经营的川剧团似乎正分崩离析，演出机会越来越少。花旦想离开剧团去大城市打拼，疲于奔命的老板娘怎样解困？川剧的未来又在哪里？本片入围2019年戛纳导演双周单元，导演马南受纪录片《民间戏班》启发，历时4年创作修改，采用新人和业余演员，以近乎白描的手法，将传统戏曲的困顿现状与凋零未来呈现在观众面前。曾当过5年川剧演员的邓婕被剧本打动，欣然担任。
To live to sing, because the performances are just very natural. When you watch the film, you know that these two actresses really understand and love Chinese opera.
祝贺祝贺！
中国影片活着唱着荣获本届亚洲新人奖最佳影片奖，赵小丽凭借《活着唱着》中的出色表演荣获最佳女演员奖。
I've come to this festival for about 6 years already, and I feel that now the Asian New Talent selection is widening. So you're covering more countries that I haven't seen in this competition before. For example, Indonesia, I don't think that's ever been in this selection. I notice is that I think there's a more emphasis on art cinema in the selection now. So I think that's interesting because then there's a balance between a more popular cinema and a more aesthetic cinema.
颁奖典礼上揭晓了本届亚洲新人奖的各个奖项。日本导演香田优子以《在蓝色时分飞翔》摘得最佳导演奖。印度尼西亚编剧尤瑟夫·拉加穆达凭借影片《山间生活》获得最佳编剧奖。马来西亚男演员袁腾获得最佳男演员奖。印度电影《昨夜星辰》的摄影师维纽马德夫·卡加拉摘得最佳摄影奖。宁浩代表评委会致辞，他认为亚洲新人奖保持了一贯的创新和激情，尤其对于来自不同地区的青年电影人，亚新奖的舞台让梦想照进现实。他们在各自不同的文化场域中做出极富个性的艺术表达，作品风格突出，主题深刻，文化性和艺术性都可圈可点。
I'm just shocked at how this thing is put together because it's 550 films in about 70 cinemas. That's a lot of work. You have to look after a lot of the films coming in. You have to do a lot of translation, and there's so many tickets being sold. It's just mind blowing. But I think also that being in this section of the Asian New Talent, this is the section where there's the most chance to change things, because this is your window to open to unknown cinemas. So this festival has shown so many films, but it gives you a great platform to just introduce unknown cinemas to China and the world.
これ知ってます？なんか200回混ぜるとめっちゃうまくなるって。
大盛りになっちゃった。
ありがとうございます。
ご飯もうないよ。え？あんた起きてくんの遅いから。
すいません。やっぱ本場だと違いますね。いただきます。
東京だとあんま食べない。あんた今日どうすんの？
何も考えてない。
声ちっちゃいんだよ。いつもそう？私今から仕事だから3時におばあちゃんとこ行けるようにしといて。
Well, my Japanese colleague told me that there's a trend in Japan now that a lot of the independent Japanese cinema are led by women. There are many women directors in Japanese independent cinema today, and I think that's a good thing because there's been such a gender inequality for such a long time, and finally you get women who can express the female issues that's current in Japan today. The two directors that we have in the Asian New Talent selection, the Indian director and the Indonesian director, these are new names which we find by ourselves, and that's a good thing. I've been watching a lot of the Indian cinema from the northeastern states. These are the poorer states in India, like Manipur, Assam, and a lot of that cinema is very poor, low budget, and very rough. But the film selected in here, it's called Mon. That is from the region of Assam, but it is a very sophisticated film. It's a breakthrough for me. It's a new trend.
印度导演多米尼克·麦格姆桑马耗费5年心血筹备的加罗语电影《昨夜星辰》是2018年孟买电影节唯一入围竞赛单元的印度电影。电影首次将鲜为人知的部落方言带入大众视野，以父亲谋求来世与逝去妻子重聚的渴望，暗含导演桑马2岁半时因一场巫术仪式失去母亲的真实故事。 片中演员由真实村民和导演的家人组成，主角则是桑马85岁的父亲，是一部以原生态乡村风情映衬创作者人生哲思的诚意之作。
원 미치겠니 바빠공아 마음을 어두둥자 angan wa papni jadal angni papni asilsa biasina nangaha haida yatak mazuaniyo na badu sidungengin
anga dos may ko anga dos taga
nangara gemekon thaliagana onanangade na salanti bimu bakse jangi thangoba nekdana ko nekja winana ko wiza bera pangnan saksanba gisepude nangna simbrangen ba philip nang khora nokon manja bini nangan somayo nang komanan manja.
Well, the two greatest countries in Southeast Asia for film would be the Philippines and Indonesia. And the Philippines industry is so dynamic today that I think about half of the output of films in a year are from the independent sector. And for Indonesia as well, this is a country with something like 17,000 islands, and which means that the differentiation of local culture across the country is very broad and intense. And if you see the film here, Mountain Song, that it comes from this large island called Central Sulawesi, and last year tsunami killed 4,000 people in this island, and I think that the story in this film reflects the sense of death and sadness in this part of the world.
山间生活是印尼导演尤瑟夫·拉加穆达自编自导的长片处女作，讲述在一个一生病就需要用担架抬下山去治疗的与世隔绝的僻静山区，胆小的6岁男孩金巴因母亲下山治病而不得不学会独自生活的故事。导演用大量的山景空镜、和缓的镜头融入当地天籁般的山歌旋律，来表达男孩的孤独心境和印尼苏拉威西岛风土人情。其中更大胆使用黑白画面处理男孩的梦境，给人极强的视觉震撼。
Ina, waktu Ina masih kecil, Ina takut sendiri.
Semua anak kecil takut sendiri.
Jadi, pas Ina sudah besar, Ina tidak takut lagi sendiri. Ina, kapan Gimba besar?
I think it's the openness to various genre. These two countries, they are very experimental. They don't mind trying things. So if you go into any of these two countries, you can see blockbuster films. You can see action films, horror movies, comedies, but you can also see the art house films, the documentary movement, experimental short films. Everything, all the styles they do. And one other thing with these two countries is that because I suppose the income level is low. I mean, for example, in the Philippines, maybe about 80% of the population live in poverty. So therefore, the people working in cinema, they just work for the sake of it. A lot of the times the salary is very low, but they work very hard, and they are just very interested in the art form.
在2019年上海国际电影节出席电影学堂大师班的嘉宾布里兰特·曼多萨，是当今菲律宾最杰出、最有影响力的电影人之一。他出身广告界，以手持摄影机的写实风格，聚焦平民生活和信仰的实验性表达和宽泛大胆的故事题材，让菲律宾电影闻名于世界影坛。
Well, he's in a very good position now because his films have been selected in the big Western festivals, but he is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, because the amount of talent in Philippines is so many that you can actually select many more names from this country.
随着亚洲电影人越来越深入、越来越频繁的交流与合作，亚洲电影的格局变得不同凡响。曾担任第10届上海国际电影节亚洲新人奖评委的泰国独立导演、编剧、制片人阿比查邦·维拉斯哈古，其艺术创作保持了艺术、技术、地域文化和实验精神的和谐统一。这种新锐的多元也成为了亚洲新人奖的风向标。
Well, he comes from a experimental cinema background, and I think till today that's his direction. So he still works in a lot of art installations and so on. I think what he's interesting in is the fusion between folklore, Thai folklore and modern technology.
作为上海国际电影节在金爵奖之外的另一重要竞赛单元，2019年的亚洲新人奖继续见证着亚洲电影新生力量的崛起，推动亚洲各国和地区之间电影文化交流互鉴，也使得亚洲电影散发更为多元的活力。
Asian festivals are now more developed. We shouldn't wait for names that are embraced by the Western festivals before we take them. I think it's really time for us to go and find the talents, the Asian talents by ourselves. We don't have to wait for anyone anymore.
好，以上就是今天我们节目的全部内容，非常感谢各位的收看，让我们下一次再见。
下期您将收看的是。
在第21届上海国际艺术节上，格鲁吉亚国家芭蕾舞团给我们带来了原汁原味的《天鹅湖》，我们就请到了芭蕾巨星安娜尼亚·什维利给我们来解读这部经典的名作。